So we'll announce as the morning goes on about other things. But Jared, come and do us a favor and tell us about Brother Glenn, the treat we're about to have.
Yeah, we are in for a treat this morning. We serve a God that is a mighty, mighty God, and a God that is so much bigger than we can understand. And I think it's really awesome that this morning we have ministries represented on 3 different continents in this congregation in Moody, Texas. And I think that's really awesome. One of our pillars, one of our visions is to be a springboard for missions and ministry. And we have an opportunity to really be blessed by 2 gentlemen this morning that have international flair, and we are so excited to have them. Our first guest is Glen West. He's a resident of Temple. He's originally from Louisiana. He spent some time in New York too, right? Has a master's degree from NYU. He is going to tell you all about his story, but he's responsible for the Glen West Foundation. He's the founder and director of that, and it's a foundation that specializes in helping impoverished women in places like India and Africa, and I think Afghanistan too, and he'll tell us more about that. But that focuses on a principle called microloans that is a real simple way that people like me and you can make a big difference in God's kingdom in different places. So Glenn, why don't you head on up, and we'll have some more music in a little bit, but we have an awesome opportunity to hear from Glenn this morning, and just ask for your attention for him, and we'll have some more information about his ministry here in just a little bit.
Okay, it's a real honor for me to be here. As the pastor said, I'm 85 years old. I'm a World War II veteran. I had one brother who was killed in the war, so it's a real it's been a real tragic thing in our family. But one thing it did to me, I got some kind of dizziness or something, and so if I look like I'm about to fall over, I don't want you to think I'm on anything, taking anything like that. I just have a problem with this. We owned a chain of department stores in Louisiana called West Brothers. We had 40-something stores, and Sam Walton put us out of business. Sam and I had become good friends before that, and he used to come and visit us in Derrida, and he'd fly in his little Mooney, and so one time he brought that daughter with him, and she got out and went in the hangar, and he went up in our office, and anyway, make a long story short, she's one of the 10 richest women in the world now, and I didn't even go back there and shake hands with her. That was the greatest mistake I ever made. I think she could just take care of all my financial problems with what we're up against in India if I'd just gone back there and done that, but I didn't do it. But anyway, Sam and I became good friends, and we were good friends even after he did us in and put us out of business. But we had nothing, so we had started a Christian conference center in Colorado in 1970 before we went out of business. So we just packed up our kids and went up there, and we ministered there for about 25 years in Colorado. Had people come from all over, a lot of young people and everything, and we had a real fine ministry up there. And I wasn't in Colorado but about 2 weeks until I was happier than I ever had been in the department store business. And that's something, you never know what God has in mind for you. I was just so elated with what had happened. So anyway, after we'd been there for all that time, about 8 years ago, we decided that we would go into another ministry and work with poor women in countries overseas. I have never, I'll just be honest with you, I've never been a real believer in how we handle our missionary program. We send a few people over there, and we start a little church, and we do this and that, and we send visitors over there, and we come back, and they give a little testimony and all that. But not much happens, in my opinion. And so, being a businessman, and I have a master's degree in business, and having been in West Brothers, I look at it from a different angle. What are we really doing for these women, and what are we getting? What are we really helping them with? So anyway, I decided that I wanted to start a center in Ahmednagar, India, and I won't go into the long story about how we found Ahmednagar, but put in a research center there where we could research ideas of how poor women could move out of poverty a lot faster than what was happening now, because we have so many women out there that are so capable, but sometimes we don't pay much attention to them. We just go over and visit a little while and go back and that kind of thing. So I wanted to set up a research center where we could do some things and have people to come to India and look at this research program and see all the things that we could do. So we've been there for 8 years, and I'll just quickly go over some of the things we've accomplished. We work in 3 areas. One, we give loans to the women, and the other thing we do is the Christian part of what we do, and the other part is with the youth. So we work in 3 areas there, and I think we got the finest setup in the world, but unfortunately, I can't get enough people over there to look at it that believe like I do, and I'm prejudiced, that's another thing. I probably think it's better than it is. But what we do, we loan these women $300. We don't charge them any interest at all. 80% of them are illiterate. They can't read or write. We had 200 women come immediately to try to get loans, what we did. So we begin to loan money, and they have 12 months to pay this back. And then we take that money and then we loan it to someone else. The amazing thing about women who are illiterate is that they are a lot smarter than we think they are, and they're not just sort of cast off that can't do anything. So what we did, we set up a 3-week school, and in order to get a loan from us, the women had to go to a 3-week school. So the first week, they all have to sit together. The Hindus, the Muslims, and the Christians, just like you're sitting out here, have to sit next to each other. And then in the next class that we have, an hour later, they have to sit in a different place. And then the next day they have to sit in a different, they got to get along or they can't stay in the program. And we tell them if they're not happy with it and they don't want to work with people of all denominations and all backgrounds and whatever, we're not going to give them a loan. So they learn real quick that we are going to be what we call a team, T-E-A-M. We drill that into their little heads until it's pitiful. That we are a team composed of people working together. And it makes no difference who we are or what we do. Okay, real quick. The first week, all they do is get to know each other. And they give their testimonies about what they've been doing and what they'd like to do and this kind of thing. And we start exchanging ideas and that sort of thing. The second week, they go out into the community and they begin to look at the kind of business they want to get into when they get their loan. And they pick the brains of these guys by telling them all kind of stories that are probably not true about who they are and what they're doing. But what they're really trying to do is find out about his business, how much his expenses are, how much his sales are, and whether he does good. So the second week, they decide on what kind of business they want to go into. The third week, we sit down with them and they tell us what kind of business they're in. And if they can read and write, which only about a third of them can, they write a little business plan. And they just put down their expenses and they put down their sales and how much profit they're going to make. Okay. The amazing thing is, though, that now after we've been here 8 years, they've begun to get together, and 3 or 4 of them will make a loan together and go into bigger businesses. So they're little entrepreneurs, even though you would think they wouldn't be capable of doing these kind of things. They do all kind of things. So I'll show you a picture of this up here real quick of a few things that they do. But don't ever let anybody tell you that those poor women aren't smart. They're a lot smarter in a lot of ways than we are. And I just love them. And I tell you, when I go to India, you'd think I was the King of England. I get off the plane, they come and meet me and this kind of thing. And of course, that really drives up our ego. We have to be careful that we don't get, conceited or anything like that and feel that we're important, because we're really not. We're not important at all. They're the ones that are important, and they're the ones that we are interested in. Then the second part of our program is our church program. We support 10 pastors there. And pastors say, how do we support 10 pastors when we don't have much money? Well, we only have to pay them $70 a month. And we have some help from some people over there that work with us, with the pastors. We also have a Bible study that we have 300 women in this Bible study. We take a bus and we go around and we work with them. We average 25 people coming to Christ every month. 25 each month come to Christ. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we don't do it, but God does it. Bless his heart. He just, it's amazing what happens. And then the third thing we want to do is work with the kids. We want to work with the teenagers, and we want to work with the little kids and that kind of thing. And we hadn't put that part of our program into play yet, but that's the third thing we'll do. Okay, then when people come to India, we have a place where we put them up, and we let them live there in the headquarters building where we live, and we take care of their food and all that if they want to put in one of these programs in their country. So we're beginning to have a few people that are coming, but we're not doing anything like what we're going to do when we get this thing going full force. We think it's going to be real good. So this is a good example of an Indian couple, and they are all illiterate. None of them have any education. And boy, they look like they're pretty prosperous, don't they? But what they do, they go home, and I don't know where they get these clothes, where they borrow them from somebody or not, but they don't ever dress like that because they don't have any clothes like that. So they look like they're real prosperous, but they're not. He makes about $60 a month when he has a good month. A lot of times he can't get work. None of the kids will probably be able to go to school, and she's going to have to stay at home and take care of all of that. So that's where we are there. Now let's see if our little flipper works. Okay, this is Ahmednagar. Ahmednagar, the cattle are the big thing in India. They're sacred. And so all the cars have to get out of the way and everything has to move over, and they just have the run of the whole city. The city's about 2 million people. They go where they want to and they do what they want to. And nobody bothers them. And so that's just one of their beliefs, and that's something that's never changed. Okay. Another thing in India is motorcycles. You motorcycle guys, 80% of the people ride motorcycles, motorbikes. This is the way they get around because, they're not as expensive to operate and that sort of thing. So that works pretty good. Now, when we first went to India and we rode down around the road, this is what we saw. These women go out about 4 o'clock in the morning, get a few vegetables, sit by the side of the road. If they can make $2 or $3 that day, they're in good shape. They've had a good day. So we set out to try to remedy this and do some things that we thought would really be better than what they're doing. Okay, this lady here has 10 children. They live in a little house about 10 by 10. And this is one of the better places where they stay, where she has a stove and she has a bed, and most people don't have that, but they have it. If they need to go to the bathroom, they have to go outside to a public bathroom. They just don't have all those kind of facilities and everything like we have here. A lot of them have to go outside to cook and do things like that, but they live just real close together. That little guy in the middle there, he's just a little doll. I wanted to adopt him and bring him back and everything else, and my wife said no. I didn't do that. I don't think they let me do it anyway. Now, here's the bad news. When it rains and they can't go outside, and it rains sometimes two months out of the year, this is how they sleep. So how would you like to sleep like that every night? That's not the best thing in the world, but this is the way these people live over there in the situation they're in. All right, this is the way our school works. We divide everything up as a team, and we have a head coach just like a basketball team. And we divide them into groups of 5. If any of these women down here do not pay their loan, or including the captain, then this group here has to go in together and pay that monthly loan. So they have to agree to do that before they can get a loan. We have never had a person that didn't pay their loan on time. So that's worked out real well for us. Then we have the other teams there, and this lady in the middle is the captain, and she works with the rest of the people there, and so they do a lot of work through their captain. Okay, I'm going as fast as I can here. Get my thing to work. Graduation is a big deal. You can see they put on their best clothes, and they really think this is something that's like a gift from heaven when they graduate. Okay, now this is the part I want to get into. This is a lady that has no education. She is illiterate. That little place over there was her place of business when she got a loan from us. When she got a loan from us, she kept doing so well in her business over there on the right that she went to the bank and she asked them if they'd make her a loan. And the banker said, "What do you want to do with the loan?" She said, "I want to buy a taxi with it." He said, "Well, you have no education and all that." She came, got us, we went to the bank, we begged, we talked and all, and he gave her a loan. Now she has sold the taxi, and she has 2 cars. And her husband drives one truck, the 2 trucks. Her husband drives one truck, and her son drives the other truck. So what I'm telling you, these women are smart. They are capable. They know what they're doing. And we're doing things with people overseas in a mission such situation, Pastor, and we don't give them credit for anything. We just pray for them and say we're sorry for them and all that, and then we leave and we come back over here and nothing happens. And as you can see, I'm not too happy with that. Okay? You go on with this. Another example. This is, let me go back. Okay. This is 10 women who live in a little village right outside of Ahmednagar. You know what they decided? They got their heads together and they said, let's all 10 get a loan together. And let's go lease 5 acres of land. And we're going to grow things on that land. And remember that when that stuff is growing, We don't have to be out there with it. We can go and we can get another job in town while that stuff is growing. So they grow all kinds of things on this 5 acres. They're just doing exceptionally well. They're little entrepreneurs. They really are. And you'd be amazed at what they do. Then they meet at one of them's house once a week, and they pray and they sing religious songs and that kind of thing. And you can imagine when I go there, I tell you, I just hug their necks, and I think they're the greatest people in the world, and because of what they do with what they have. This is 3 of the ladies of that group that work at a factory, and they've got it worked out with the factory where they could spend time with their growing deal and work there, like they may just work in the afternoons or whatever it is. But that just shows you how clever they are. This lady here came to me and said she knew where there was a sheep farm, and she always wanted a sheep farm. I said, okay, get my car. Let's go see the lady that's got the sheep farm. So we went to see her, and that's her up here on the left-hand side. That's the lady that owns the farm. So I went and asked that lady if she would help this lady that got a loan from us to have a sheep farm, and could she ever possibly have a sheep farm? And you know what the lady told me? She said, positively, she can have it. I'll help her in every way. They help each other. If we could just do that in this country, it would really be something. The way they help each other. And they look at. So anyway, the lady owning the sheep farm is going to help her. And her goal is going to be, and I would bet my life on it, that she's going to reach that goal. Okay, this is ladies, and they're going to do all different kinds of spices. And 5 of them went in together. They're getting smart. They're beginning to make group loans now, which they weren't doing before. Okay? Now, I just put this in there to say this, that when we make a loan to a mother, we're really making that loan to that whole family. And in every loan that we give, everyone in the family works. All of them work in this. And that's a good thing, because these kids are busy, they still go to school and all that, but everybody has to take part in the loans. This is a lady that invented this sugar cane device, and it squeezes the juice out of the sugar cane, and she sells the juice. She is completely illiterate, and she now has 3 of these machines that she's built, and she's building 7 more, and she's going to hire 3 more women to work with her, and she's another entrepreneur. And this is what I would try to get into the minds of 1,000 preachers in America, that they aren't dumb and they can do things, and we ought to be doing more for them. Okay, this is a handicapped lady, and we especially built this for her where she could climb around and get things that she wanted to sell out of the handicap area. Okay, now our children's program. What we want to do real quickly in our children's program is to have this building, and we want to bring kids into the building who are not in school. We don't want to start a school, but we want to get them started to school, get them to believe in school and get them going in school. And then we want to also help kids with their homework, and then we want to have a computer set up, and this is our computer setup. This is the building that we want to renovate. We want to put the computer room in the back of that building. And then we want to have a citywide recreation program. And we see the day in Ahmednagar where we'll have 3,000 kids in that recreation program. And it will be administered by the fathers. It won't cost us anything. And they've agreed to do it. And so ideas is what we need for people in these foreign countries where we can go over there and do some things that we're not doing now. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get people over there to see that. Okay. Okay, this is one of our churches, and this is a preaching service. I preached at this service here, and their pastor, when you preach, everybody comes up after the service and talks to you. So you have to stay there for about an hour after you get through. Okay, this man came up and he has AIDS, and so he talked to me and asked me if I'd pray for him because he had AIDS. Okay, this is everything, and I've gone over my time, and I apologize for that. But if you can help us in this in any way, if you wanted to help us with a $300 loan, let's say, and you were a person, say you could put in $100, but you found two friends and they would each put in $100. It wouldn't cost very much money to do that. To renovate the building is $2,500. That's more than that. But I'm hoping that this Rotary Club I spoke to yesterday, I'm going to try to get the $2,500 from them, even though I don't think they were as receptive as they should have been. But I'm going back and talk to them. But you can help us by talking to people that you know and telling them about our program. But for goodness sakes, tell them that if they decide to help us with it, it's not going to cost them a lot of money. Thank you, and I've gone over my time, and I love you. And I've got my cards down here, my cards and my resume down here. So after things over, somebody wants to come by and get a card.